Let's take a trip to Kano State, where the vexed issue of local government autonomy cannot come into full force unless elections are conducted into council administrations. But there are concerns in many parts of the country over credibility of such polls. A federal high court sitting in Kano has disqualified the chairman and members of the Kano State Independent Electoral Commission, Kansiec, from conducting the scheduled local government elections in the state. Now, this is because some provisions of the Electoral Act were violated. Justice Amobede ruled that whatever the commission did, has done or is doing in preparation for the 2024 local government elections in the state, such as issuance of election guidelines, circulars, screening of candidates, sale of nomination and expression of interest forms, among others, are null and void and of no effect whatsoever. The judge directed the police and other security agencies to ensure full compliance with the ruling. All right, BK, are you still with us?
Yeah, of course I am.
Yes, BK, looking at the Kano State situation, the elections were scheduled to hold this Saturday, but really, first of all, who takes the blame? How was the Kansiec chairman, how was he even appointed? And also, why are we just finding out now that the Kansiec chair was a political card holder, a political card carrying member? What are your thoughts on that one?
Well, first and foremost, I have to say that I'm ashamed at the level of impunity. I'm ashamed of the level of impunity that is going on in the name of local government elections in our country. Governors are not interested in conducting free, fair, and credible elections. As far as they are concerned, electoral integrity means nothing. In a lot of these elections that have taken place, so-called council elections that have taken place, there are no result sheets. People's names are simply written. In many of the polling centers, elections didn't take place, but results were procured from those places. You can see, that was what happened in Rivers, for example. People said, okay, let us have results from polling centers, polling center to polling center. Let's have the results. They didn't produce results. It moved to other states. The same thing happened. Come on, what is going on? It's a big mess. You cannot say that election is taking place, whereas what you've done is simply to write names of so-called winners. And by Sunday morning, because you suspect that the opposition will file cases in court to stop the announcement, to stop the inauguration of so-called winners of bogus elections, you now go on, you now swear them in on Sunday morning. I mean, this is electoral brigandage. We can't call it any other name. This is electoral brigandage going on in the name of local council elections. Governors are simply overreaching themselves. And you wonder if these governors were in charge at the federal level, what would they do?
Oh dear. Oh dear.
What would they do if they were in charge of INEC? CX in the various states have been completely taken over by governors. They make the appointments, they do what they like. So we found now a courageous judge, Justice Simon Amobede, who has declared that the Kano State Independent Electoral Commission, so-called Independent Electoral Commission, but in actual fact, they are firmly in the pocket of the sitting governor. There's no independence at all. They should remove independence from their names. The governor, the judge said, these guys were not civil servants above level 14.
Yes.
As stipulated in the law. And it is not just the constitution that they have breached. Even the law setting up the Kano State Independent Electoral Commission, that is Kansiec Law 2001, they have thoroughly breached it. So what do you expect a courageous judge to do? Since the people appointed have been proven to be card-carrying members of the NMPP, the ruling party in the state, in contravention of Section 197(1)(b) and Section 201(a) of the 1999 Constitution.
Okay.
Then whatever actions they are taking, whatever steps they are taking in preparing for that election, including issuing regulations and guidelines to conduct that election, have been rendered null and void.
Okay.
Not only that, the judge sacked the chairman and some other members of the commission who were appointed in contravention of the law. The judge also ruled that henceforth, in reconstituting the commission, the law has to be obeyed. The law has to be obeyed. Because if you do not obey the law and you simply put your party members there, blatantly put your party members there, as others have been doing, then you are contravening the law. And the same thing that happened a couple of days back may happen again.
Okay. All right.
So this is where we are. Somebody has to stand up to say enough of the impunity going on in the states in the name of independent state independent electoral commission. Simply writing names, not producing result sheet, not where they think that they are not likely to win election, they will not even send ballot materials to those places. I can tell you that this is what has been happening. Well, I've been following those elections, and it's really shameful.
Really shameful
that we in this modern age, we are being barbaric in the way we conduct elections. It's extremely shameful.
All right, Doctor, let me come to you. What should we expect on Saturday? Do you expect the Kano State government to comply with the court judgment, or do you expect further litigation?
Well, I think that election will hold. We know the way states have been doing things.
But there's a court judgment.
They are going to get a counter judgment. That I can assure you. And that's why what BK said is important for us to get it straight. You only have few people who are able to sit down and say, this is what has happened. And rule in that wise, because you have evidence. But that I can also tell you from what we have seen in the last few months, the past few months, that election is like 90%.
90% going to hold.
Going to hold. Because they are going to get a counter judgment.
What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I won't be surprised if they get a counter ruling, because we have precedents.
So many.
It happened in the case of Rivers State. The Federal High Court even said, look, there is no updated voter register and all of that, so you can't go ahead and hold that election. The people they were laughing at the court now. You know? And I would have thought that Fubara in that case, if you believe that that court had no jurisdiction, you context it.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. Jurisdiction. Does the Federal High Court have a right to discuss on such matter, even though it is valid?
No, yeah.
Does it have jurisdiction, though?
It's actually a debatable matter.
A debatable one.
But if you are contesting the jurisdiction of a court, you contest it in court, right? You might
not by going out to hold the election.
Not by just going to hold the election. What it actually meant, and what it will mean in this case, if they go ahead to hold this election, is that the state governors don't have respect for institutions. And this is why many people are even afraid of state police, the much desired state police. Okay. That the governors will use the state police for their selfish ends. Personally, if I even prefer that both INEC and what the State Independent Executive Commission are not under the executive. I would call for the adoption of the waste report.
Okay.
Yes, waste committee report that said that to insulate the Electoral Commission, the INEC, the Electoral Commission, yes, from the shenanigans of politicians, that it should be under the National Judicial Commission.
Exactly.
Now, in the case of CX, it can be under the State Judicial Commissions. Anyway, it can also be argued. It can still be argued. That governors have the state judiciary in their pocket. But I think we still, in many cases, we still have very fearless people on the bench. You know, we are still more likely to have sanity. That's my view with the judiciary than.
But in the case of the local government, okay, that's why I'm also buying this move for there to be a commission that is not constituted by the states. Some people are saying
independent.
Give it to INEC.
Okay.
Some people are saying let's set up another body. For me, it will be give it to INEC. Why? Because in constituting another body, you're also creating another bureaucracy, which is going to cost us money.
Which we don't have at
which we don't have. So that's why when we discuss the first topic, BK also spoke about mergers, reduction in the number of ministers. That's what a lot of us are conversing for. So if you go and create another bureaucracy, then you are putting in another level of funding that we can't afford.
We can't afford right now. So, okay. No,
a lot of our governors need to learn that just as you keep crying that there is federal might when you conduct governorship election, so are you also using your state might when you conduct
local government elections. All right, BKO, if peradventure the Kano state government decides to comply with this, what is the implication of this? Are we starting again from the beginning because the court actually cancelled everything Kansiec has done in terms of distribution of materials and so on? Are they to start from the scratch? What's the implication of this?
Which materials are they distributed now? Which materials? Which materials? So see, the thing is better to do the right thing. If you disobey the law courts, whatever you do afterwards, go and ask Rotimi Amechi now. You disobeyed the courts in 2018 going to 2019. And APC lost all of the elective positions because it refused to comply with the order of the court. By the time it got to the Supreme Court declared everything that he had done a nullity. So they taught him an exemplary lesson there that you cannot show executive arrogance, show arrogance to the law courts. So this is the thing. Do the right thing. The law, they quoted the law, the portion of the law that Kano State created by itself in 2001. They contravened it. The constitution of the country, the two different portions of the constitution, they contravened. There is a reason why those provisions were put there. It's not for a governor to trample on the constitution. Remember, this same Kano State governor in the tussle for Kano emirship.
Yes.
He said, that a judge was not in Nigeria. He didn't know that the law permits a judge to make a ruling even if he was outside Nigeria, electronically.
Okay.
So you sometimes have who are the people advising them. Since the COVID era.
Especially, exactly, during the COVID.
Judges have been giving orders electronically. And so they disobeyed the order. Have they solved the problem of the emirship tussle in Kano now? Till today, they've not solved it. If you refuse to obey the court, and you got a court of concurrent jurisdiction, if you don't get a superior court to set this aside, and you go ahead to conduct the election, whatever you've done, you've merely wasted your time. You must find a superior court who will look at the matter, and the Superior Court is the Court of Appeal,
Okay.
not the State High Court.
All right, BK, what should we expect on Saturday?
They've been going to State High Court sometimes. How do you use the State High Court to countermand the decision of the Federal High Court?
Of the Federal High Court.
You've got to get a Superior Court. So if they can get a Superior Court, fine. If they can't get a Superior Court, then they must not hold that election.
But BK, what do you expect on Saturday? Just in 1 minute, do you think the Kano State government will comply with the court judgment or further litigations?
I expect. I cannot preempt a man that I've never met in my life. I don't even know him. I see him only on TV. I can only expect them to obey the court.
Obey the court.
Obey the court. Or if you don't want to obey the court, then get a superior court.
Yeah.
Get a superior court to set aside the ruling of the court. If you cannot find a superior court that will set this aside, then you better hold on.
Okay.
Since the mistake they made earlier, we've seen them, they are obeying some of the orders of the court in respect of the traditional chieftaincy contest.
Yes.
So I expect them
to
a
obey.
judge, he himself, the Kano State governor is a product of the law. He's a product of our law courts.
Exactly.
Because he won at the Supreme Court. So you cannot choose what orders of the court to obey.
All right, then.
Yeah.
You can't say, oh, when it suits me, I obey. When it doesn't suit me, I don't obey.
Cherry picking. All right, thank you so much, BK.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
That is where I stand.
Thank you very much, BK. Beautiful conversation. Beautiful conversation. Thank you so much, BK, for having this conversation with me. Like I said, I've missed you. Dotun, thank you so much for having this conversation with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Paul Dada, I really enjoy having a conversation with you. And also thank you to the gentlemen in the PCR and the MCR for pressing the buttons accordingly for us to have a beautiful show.